Great to be here with all of you. Thank you all for coming today. As Jennifer mentioned, my scientific discipline is astronomy, and specifically the study of dark matter. And so dark matter is very interesting because we find it throughout the whole cosmos. And it's something that is invisible to our eyes and telescopes, but we feel its influence. And so there's a very deep resonance between allurement, this kind of drawing forth, this inner sense of being drawn towards something that we can't see or touch, with our eyes or hands, and dark matter, which surrounds the cosmos. One of the things we've discovered is that dark matter is everywhere. This is a picture of a cluster of galaxies taken with the Hubble Space Telescope. So every dot in this image here is a galaxy that has hundreds of billions of stars. And what they've done is they've mapped the light and how it's being bent by the dark matter in this cluster. And so this cloudy part here is a map of the dark matter, right? The invisible allurement that is shaping and guiding and developing this cluster that we can't see with our eyes, but we can see its effects. And so galaxies and galaxy clusters are surrounded by this field of allurement, which helps them develop, which guides their development, and which in many ways is determining the entire structure and history of the universe. Here's another example. This is an image called the cosmic web. Every dot in this image represents a galaxy. And so you can see that galaxies stretch in long chains across the universe. They have a lot of gravity, but where galaxies form are on strands of dark matter. And so all these galaxies are forming on these invisible strands of dark matter, these kind of strands of allurement around which galaxies form. And so the entire cosmos is interwoven with a web of allurement that is shaping the formation and evolution of things on large scales. So our galaxy, the Milky Way, was literally formed in a field of allurement. And so we're held in that field in every moment as part of the composition of the Milky Way. Here's another example. This was a structure discovered just a few years ago, and it's called Laniakea, which is a Hawaiian word which means immense heaven. This is a supercluster of galaxies that we belong to. There's 100,000 galaxies in our supercluster, the Milky Way being one of them. And one thing astronomers have determined is that there's a whole flow of allurement, which these galaxies are falling like drops of water in a river towards the heart of Laniakea. So there's some mysterious form of allurement that's right here, has immense gravitational field, and all these dots are being drawn by its gravity towards the heart of this cluster. And I love that this cluster, or this image, actually looks like a heart in some way. It's a glowing heart of allurement that's drawing our galaxy and 100,000 other galaxies to it, like drops in a river being drawn forth. So it's really remarkable. In fact, one word for the heart of Laniakea is the great attractor. In fact, we could say it's the great allurer. So our cosmic system here on Earth is a flow of allurement embedded in a much larger river allurement formed on an invisible backbone of allurement that spans the entire cosmos. So the history of the cosmos is really the history of allurement manifesting itself in different forms and different shapes over time. So in the beginning, things were allured to become particles, and then galaxies, and then stars. Stars, developed heavy material to form planets, and planets had chemistry, where atoms were allured together to form biology and then culture. And so it's a whole process of allurement that's been happening over the course of cosmic history. And in fact, we formed in such a strong field of allurements that our very brain structure, right, the neurons in our brain, mimic the field of allurements of the large-scale structure of the universe. So the top image is the network of neurons in our brains, right? And the bottom image is the network of galaxies that span the universe. So very interesting how this field of allurement has these same forms across many different scales. Now, we formed in a system called Earth that is in very deep allurement with the sun. Right? The sun is showering everywhere with its generosity, its free energy every moment, and the Earth is allured to that energy. And in fact, life on Earth is in response to the allurement between the Earth and the sun. There's an attraction, there's a relationship between the two that is developing things as a result of that allurement. Here's an example. So the history of life on Earth is really the history of allurement with the sun. Right? The sun showers down this free energy, this generosity that we're showered with in every moment, and the Earth finds ever more complex ways to take in that energy and come together to form new forms of life and ways to express that allurement relationship. So the natural field, the natural world, is really a field of allurements that's been developing for 4.5 billion years between this love affair between the Earth and the sun. Last summer, I did an allurement walk around my neighborhood looking for examples of allurement. And I saw all kinds of flowers and trees stretching, yearning upwards towards the sun. I mean, I love how this crepe myrtle tree, where I live in North Carolina, is literally reaching skyward, stretching ever to be closer to that which it loves, which is the sun. Sunflowers were around, these coneflowers. I mean, look how flowers are yearning for the sunlight. There's such allurement coming up through the earth to them to meet the earth and sun together. More flowers. This is just in my backyard, you know. So if you take an allurement walk, see if you can notice where allurement's taking place, and you'll find it everywhere. We are immersed in patterns of allurement, and we are part of that pattern of allurement. Each of us has very specific tendencies towards what we're drawn towards. And it's good to know that that's coming from the cosmos. There's a 13.8 billion year lineage of allurement that's led to our own particular allurements and drawing forth. Thomas Berry was very wise on this in saying the universe is a communion of subjects, not a collection of objects. And a communion of subjects means it's a field of mutually enhancing allurements. So we're immersed in a cosmic field of allurement that's expressing itself everywhere we are. We see this in relationships, right? Honeybees and flowers are allured together. They develop together. And so these are some questions to consider, and we'll do a more in-depth exercise. But if we were to take an example from the bees and flowers, where are you pollinating? Where are you spreading your allurements? And where are you being pollinated? Where are you being nourished by your own mutually enhancing allurements? And so I'll just finish here. If you look at an image of nature, we can see nature as a mutually enhancing field of allurements that includes humans, that includes the sky, includes the sunlight shining down upon us, the rocks, the trees, the flowers, the entire natural world as a field of allurements that has its roots in deep cosmic history. So we are in field after field after field of allurements all around us. All right, thank you, everyone.